Blade and Sorcery has had an absolutely incredible 1.0 release where we can fight in the Crystal Hunt, fight golems, and do so much more. But today, I'm going to be showcasing the best mods of this 1.0 release. So without further ado, let's get started. The very first mod on this list is Beam Sabers made by Wiz. Now it is absolutely incredible because it lets you use normal weapons, normal objects, but as lightsabers. So we have these Wolverine claws, we have Loki's dagger as a lightsaber, we have this maul or mace as a lightsaber, and so many more. Like we even have a katana as a lightsaber. I mean, that's pretty dope, right? Look at that. Perfectly pierces, slashes through anything, a ton of fun. It's kind of weird because there's so many different items that we have. But don't get me wrong, while I absolutely love these, I do have a favorite. If we go to this bad boy right here, the Jormungandr? Not exactly sure if I'm saying that right, but it is literally a lightsaber whip. I don't know if you can get more awesome than that. So what I'm going to do is just showcase this bad boy a little bit, and not to mention, you notice how all of these lightsabers have different colors. Well, if you do the Force and you push them away, you can actually change the color of them. So what I'm thinking is we can just rip off a few enemies' limbs with a red Sith lightsaber whip. So, spawn army. And now that we have a bunch of guys to test this on, holy cow. Now I did update my computer, so let's see if we can handle this. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Hey you, come here. Oh my gosh. We got a leg. We got another leg. I didn't even mean to hit him and we still cut his leg off. He's just trying to run away. Alright, now what we're going to try to do is let's hit his head. Whoa, we got her arm. Hey pal, can you just stand still for a second? We just whipped his blade away from him. Now that's cool. Oh yeah, we got his head. The next mod on this list is this bad boy right here, which I showcased in the little intro. We have the spell gun made by yours truly. So basically, you pull the trigger and you can summon your own black holes. It's so much fun. But not just that, just wait, there's a ton more to it. So there we go. Now that we have a couple people, you pull the trigger, you can do the black hole, do whatever you could possibly want. They all go towards it. It's a ton of fun to use. And the fact that they can go between all of them, that's awesome. But let's say that really doesn't float your boat. There's a couple other modes, like if you press the spell button, your controller vibrates, your hand vibrates, and then the second option forms with this little lightning particle right here, where you can actually create your own gravinados, which, yes, they do completely suck up enemies and drop them on their heads just like that. Sorry, lady. The third one is we have our very own plasma beam directly from this gun. Now, I don't know a heck of a lot about Blade and Sorcery, but this is awesome. Spawn army. If we use these fellows right here and we just hit them, not only does it knock them back, but it lights them all on fire. Like this guy right here is getting burnt to a crisp right in front of our eyes. I'm so sorry, pal. Oh my gosh. And then, one thing that I didn't know before, dead bodies actually lock up when they're burned to a crisp like this. It's a very gruesome fact, but very interesting that Blade and Sorcery decided to incorporate this. I think it turned out pretty well, though. Now, aside from that, the fourth one, if we pull the trigger, we can shoot out fireballs, which light the enemy on fire. I know, it's pretty cool, but let's say that wasn't enough for you. Well, press it one more time. I did recently add this. Spawn army. Check this out. If we pull the trigger now, we can actually shoot out the meteor fire merge projectile. Oh my gosh. Not only does it knock them all back, it lights them on fire. Oh man. It even launches little separate projectiles, which can light enemies on fire too. I think that turned out super great. And yes, you guys have been asking for it. I did finally add it. Spawn dummy. Check this out. Yep. I added the flamethrower. You guys kept asking for it, commenting in the videos. Also, on that note, if you guys have any other suggestions for this gun, let me know. because I will add things to it like the meteor and the flamethrower. These were all suggestions by you, everybody that commented. And now that I think about it, it might be cool if I was able to light the area on fire too, instead of just lighting enemies on fire, because, well, actually, that might be enough. That's pretty terrifying. And a next one, we have just shooting them with lightning. Now, of course, there's a bunch of customizations for this one, just like my mods like normal. So, you can customize how far the black hole spawns, if there's any status effects, like burning, electrocuting, and floating applied to the creatures sucked up by the Gravnado, how fast the projectiles from the fireball and the meteors are shot out, if they get burned from the fireballs and meteors, and, well, one other really cool thing, you can actually change the color of the lightning, although the end particles do not change as of this moment, but I think this is super, super, super cool. Yeah, I did that. But that's enough of this one. Let's get rid of that. And on that note, we are going to use the Summon Glock. Check me out. Oh, okay. So we have our Glock right here. Well, spawn army. We're going to use all of these guys, and this is something that's actually extremely customizable. Now, all of this is our general stuff, which we can customize and works for every weapon, because this isn't only a Glock, it's also an incredible framework where you guys can make your own guns with it. Now, I will be showcasing that in a bit, but you can customize killing it on the headshot, holding the spell button lets you shoot rapid fire, so when I eventually make an AK-47 and other guns using this raycast framework, raycasting basically means instead of it shooting out a projectile, I can just shoot them this close, and you notice the bullet actually hits them, and they die. But it is so much fun to use. You can also customize the hit sound, so if I was to shoot this, just listen. You know, there's sounds when you hit it, or you can always turn those off, and then one of my favorites is if we turn on the blood effects. From right where you shoot them, blood squirts from their body. And yes, that does include their head and any other part. And yes, it does get super brutal and super gruesome. But, I mean, come on, you're getting shot by a bullet. It only makes sense. But let's turn those off. And just for fun, I did add a chance so that if you shoot them at a limb, like, hold on, let's just shoot their head a few times. You can dismember their head. You can dismember their head and basically any other part. And for this Glock specifically, you can customize whether or not it has a laser just to make sight a little bit easier. So you want to shoot her, shoot her, shoot him, shoot him, shoot her. They're all dead. And yeah, it does play the proper particles and stuff when you shoot them. Like, or the decals, I mean. So you hit them. That's what it looks like when it hits the ground. And then if I do slow-mo real quick, you'll notice it is actually shooting a projectile, and there is an animation that shoots out the shell casings. Now, there's still a couple of things that I could add to it and customize it, but for the most part, I'm actually very happy with how this has turned out so far. And yes, I did add the green laser, so if you guys want to make a customizable weapon that's in night mode, you can 100% do that. Oh, yeah. Come on, I want to hit this in the air. Hold on, I might have to use slow-mo. And it is gone. Oh, you're still alive. This next one is one that I will not be showcasing in its entirety, just because it is too large, but I will get into a couple of my favorite features of it. We have the voice commands mod, which is coming to Nexus sometime in the near future. As are all of the mods, some of the ones that I haven't released yet, they will be on VRG first, but for now, we have the voice commands, which lets you do things like hollow purple. And check that out. We can use the black hole, or if that doesn't float your boat, giant black hole. We can do a much larger one, which sucks everything up. We can use all the merges, everything that you could possibly want, just from a voice command itself, like plasma beams on. Shooting out these Iron Man lasers right from the side of your head. And let me see if I can actually showcase it. This is what we look like right now. I think it's awesome. It lights everything on fire. It lights all the enemies on fire. Yeah. Plasma beams off. Oh yeah, just take a look at her. She got absolutely toasted. There's a couple other cool things like arrow rain, rain of lightning, rain of arrows, rain of fire, weapon rain. So we can do all of those different things that come from the sky and hit whatever enemies are around you. Ooh, give me this pickaxe. Although, after a second or two, they all get despawned just to prevent lag, because I know it could be pretty laggy. But I am very happy with how this has turned out. I especially love the lightning rain, because spawn army. Rain of lightning. Look at this. Lightning comes from the sky, and it just strikes anybody near you. Now, there is a chance, I believe it's a 70% chance that it will hit them, and it electrocutes some of the enemies that are close to them. You can obviously spawn creatures, you can spawn chicken. You can spawn this fellow right here. Hey Carl, how's it going?
Everyone be careful.
You can do things like that. Spawn Titan dummy.
Everyone be careful.
You can spawn an enemy Titan, which is absolutely gigantic, or you can always do something like steel weapon. And whichever enemy you happen to be looking at, you take their weapon and it goes directly to your hands. And of course, these are Titans. They have a ton of health, unless you slash the back of their neck, their nape. Give me that, lady. But there is a ton more to this mod. It is so much fun to use, and I cannot wait to release it. Now, you guys are going to like this one. This next one is realistic bleeding, which does cause some performance issues, but for those of you that do not have too many issues with it, check this out. So if we stab him, blood now pulls down from where you stab it. Take a look at that. Not only does it do that, but it also drips down their body too. So if I grab his arm right here, and, oh, I don't know, I do something like this, and I move his arm right here. Take a look. The blood is pooling, and it actually drips down his body now. I don't know about you guys, but this is incredibly realistic. It's literally called realistic bleeding for a reason. And another mod which I really like is Imbue with Gravity. Check this out. So all we need to do is hit them with enough force to their head, and we actually break their jaws. This mod was made by Huge Honor, and I gotta say, I absolutely love how it turned out. I don't know, there's something about being able to just play with their mouth like this. It's super fun. And then if we were to get something like, where is it? Summon Glock. And just put the Glock right in their mouth like so. Come on, I did it with the Titans. You can shoot them directly in the mouth, and obviously it kills them because it's a raycast gun. I have worked tirelessly on so many mods, but this next one takes the cake. You guys know it, you love it. We have the Trials of the Shinobi, which is my Naruto overhaul mod for Blade and Sorcery. Also, I just want to mention real quick that realistic bleeding also works on the player. So if you get stabbed by an enemy, your blood also just drips down your body, which I think is super cool. But anyways, so Trials of the Shinobi features, I believe, 12 or 13 different Naruto spells, and it also now incorporates voice commands into it. For example, Planetary Devastation. There we go. Dai Hakoten. These Shiki cubes. Planetary Devastation is coming on down. Come on. Come on. And then, boom. I do still need to make the particle effects and other stuff a little bit bigger and better, but I think that's pretty cool. Spawn Shinobi Army.
Everyone be careful.
We have all of these Shinobis ready to help us fight. Almighty Push. Something like that. I don't know. Universal Pull. And then we can do something like that. I do need to fix it real quick and turn off their colliders when they get around your hand and check when it automatically grabs. It's something that I'm still working on, but we've got that working in the bag. It's perfectly fine. We have the Samehara, so when you kill enough enemies with it, it evolves, or you can literally just say, eat Samhara. And then it grows into its evolved form, which lets you shred enemies to pieces. It is insanely brutal and insanely sharp, and it is a living weapon, if you guys couldn't tell. So I'm not touching it. It jumps, it moves, and it makes noises all on its own. It was so much fun to make, and I don't know, I think it turned out pretty great. Not to mention, there's a bunch of other things that you can get into it, like if we go into our Trials of the Shinobi category, there are 39 different Naruto-themed weapons. More of them are currently being added. There's things like the Demon Wind Shuriken, where you can just grab this bad boy, and if I can find the handle on one of these, check this out. Spawn Dummy. Auto Target. What I'm going to do is do this in slow motion so you can see, but when you throw it, it automatically spins and rotates, and then it aims at whatever enemy you could possibly want. Yeah, I think it's incredible to use. Not to mention, I did completely overhaul the explosions in it so that everything works based on a new module that I made where you can customize a lot of things like the explosions, the force, the radius, and even Spawn Dummy. You can customize whether or not when it hits something, if they light on fire, if they get dismembered, a ton of different things. So it's great. So yeah, there are 39 different weapons in this Trials of the Shinobi pack. My last one that I'm going to showcase real quick before I get into some of the little spells, which I really enjoy, is Minato's Flying Thunder God. So basically, you throw it, you teleport directly to the kunai, and then you can automatically grab it. Now this makes for some great combat. So if you're fighting an enemy, which I'm going to do in just a sec, just watch. Spawn enemy. And she's trying to fight you. Oh no, I'm so scared. Ah, psych. Oh, who are you trying to attack, lady? Not me. And you teleport up. Easy. You teleport to the sides. She can't hit you at all. Or you can just press the spell button and teleport directly to the kunai's location without automatically grabbing it. Now can you stop for just a second? I'm trying to record a video here. One which I really enjoy is being able to pull the trigger, use our Rasengan, go up, and just like Minato using it on Obito, if I'm not spoiling anything, just doing something like that, and then using the Rasengan on her. Spawn Dummy. Not to mention, obviously the Rasengan, the harder you hit an enemy with it, the farther back they get knocked back. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, right? And there you go. Aside from that, we have the Fireball Jutsu, Amaterasu, our Shuriken Jutsu, our Chidori, new and enhanced particles. If you throw your hand up with it, you summon the Kirin Dragon, or you can just say, Kirin. And you can summon it like that as well. You can use the Kamui, so sucking everything up that you're looking at when you pull the trigger. You can also use the voice command. If you pull the trigger and the grip, anything that was in your little Kamui dimension, you can actually shoot out, whether that be rocks, weapons, and Spawn Dummy. You can even do it on creatures too, so. Alright, ready? He's in one of these, he's next. There we go. And here we go with this guy. Hey pal, sorry about that. Didn't mean to. We have the Expansion Jutsu, which lets your hands grow. Spawn Dummy. Spawn Army. So my favorite thing is that when you hit an enemy with it, there is increased knockback, which is great, but sometimes if you hit a dummy like that, they will not get exploded immediately. So I made it when you make a fist like so, and you hit an enemy, they always get knocked back with an insane amount of force. Just for those of you that really want to feel overpowered as heck, just like I do, I think that turned out great. And along with that, if we put it in both hands, we can of course grow to be Titan-sized. And then we have all these little baby enemies, which you can pick up and do basically whatever you want to them. Oh, hey lady. Ooh-ah. Ooh-ah. And use gigantic hands while being this big. It's not fair at all, but at the same time, it's so much fun to use. We have our shadow clones. By default, it's the normal Naruto explosion, but I customize it for my current version. I have Itachi's shadow clones, or his crow clone jutsu, which, I don't know, I think it came out pretty cool, right? A lot of weapons like Omoi's sword right here, and there's a ton more, but the last thing I'm going to showcase, we have our Rasen Shuriken, which I did make it so you can now explode it based on the 1.0 framework, so that you can explode it and do the Rasen Shuriken explosion mid-air, and that does include with the separate ricocheted fireballs as well. I think it turned out pretty great. Not to mention, if we wanted to do something like, oh, I don't know where it is, Atomic Dismantling Jutsu, spawn dummy. And we select it, we hit them with it, they get vaporized. But let's say that wasn't cool enough, so just like the Rasen Shuriken, you can also now do this mid-air, and it vaporizes any enemies. Or you can just merge it together, use the Atomic Dismantling Beam, which literally removes everything. That be creatures, items, whatever. Now, I will most likely be adding some particles to that at some point, so they don't just randomly disappear, but regardless, I think it's pretty cool. And yes, for those of you wondering, there are about a bajillion different combinations and customizations you can possibly make. Oh my gosh, there's so many different things you can change in it. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them. That's an entire, probably 2-hour-long video in itself, which I'll be getting to at some point, but there we go, Trials of the Shinobi. We also have Ways of the Shinigami, my Bleach mod, which I will be showcasing at some point in the near future because I have been working on it. For this next one, I just had to go to a map with a lot of hanging places, like being able to go on this tree right here, moving up like this, and being able to pull yourself using Batman's grapple gun made by Bread. Now, I don't know what you guys think, but I have always been a huge fan of Batman, and I think this has turned out so cool. Like, I'm just swinging across this entire map, and it is such an incredible mod. I'm surprised nobody else had made it for 1.0. But that is the Grapple Hook Gun, and let's just say, this is going to be something that I'm going to be using a lot in the future. One of my big complaints about Blade and Sorcery is when I would use a spell like Lightning, shoot out our Thunderbolt, and yeah, it's pretty cool, but it wouldn't go very far, especially when I'm fighting enemies that are far away, so spawn dummy. So I have this guy right here, and if I run back here, I wouldn't even be able to hit him. But I upgraded it, so that you can now hit them any distance away. That is in my Spells Plus mod for 1.0. Increases the spells, the knockback, the force of everything, using the fire, lightning, and gravity. It just makes it a lot more fun in my opinion, but I just thought it would be even more awesome if I was able to do something like this, and obviously, you can use the gravity on every single one of these guys. Oh my gosh. That was awesome. And do something like that. A recent mod of mine that I wasn't sure if I was actually going to end up making is extra loot. So when you're fighting in the dog area, dungeons, crystal hunt, whatever, when you destroy things, you can actually get loot now. So you see this pot right here? Well, hold on. Good job. You break it and oh, look at that. So this is the loot we just received. Is there anything else? And we got a goblet. Very nice. What about this? Oh, hiding inside of this rock. We have 2 of these little totem things. Okay, there's more valuables. Or you can customize if it's just the valuables, so like those. If we do treasures, that includes the crystals. You can change it to be currency crystals only, or if I do something like that, you can drop these crystals so that you can progress and use the spells a lot easier. You can customize how often loot spawns if enemies get despawned when you kill them. So, spawn dummy. Watch this. And you know what? I'm just going to take this. When you kill them, they drop loot, and it goes wherever their body was. Or, you know, if you just set that to be off, spawn dummy. And you kill them. Let me just make sure that he's still dead. Look at this. So when you kill them, they're still alive, but they drop loot wherever their body was. Somebody had mentioned making it so that the loot is actually attached to their body in the holsters. Oh my gosh. We just killed him, and his hands are still grabbing like that. Is that something that was supposed to happen, or is that a bug? Regardless, if it's not, that is something that should be included in the base game because that's incredibly awesome. Now, alongside the extra loot mod, we have something that I like to call auto collect loot. So if we enable it, every piece of loot will automatically come to us and get stuck in our inventory. That is why I have literally 30 pages worth of different crystals, valuables, everything. Yeah, there's way too many for me to count and for me to go over, but it works pretty well, and it makes it so that if you're fighting enemies, you don't always have to pick up loot. It reminds me of a typical dungeon crawler like you're fighting in Diablo or something like that. Of course, we have always telekinesis. So normally when you use gravity, you can pick up enemies using the marionette skill. But let's say if you want to use, I don't know, fire or something like that, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But using always telekinesis, you can still use gravity on, or I guess telekinesis on enemies no matter what. And you can see how I'm grabbing an enemy. You can see how I'm grabbing the enemy from way over there. That is my better telekinesis mod, which also obviously works in conjunction with the always telekinesis mod. So I'd highly recommend you get them both because they work great together. We have better AI. So if we do this, spawn enemy,
Let's make this quick.
and they try to fight us, their attacks are much, much, much quicker. Hey, pal. Or you can just set it back to normal. By default, it's at 1.3, so they're slightly faster. Summon Glock. Shut up. Who asked you? Dang, now that's brutal. Open up his mouth and... yeah, it also does add force on collision too. And this next one is also a telekinesis mod, so if I was to grab her neck with telekinesis, like so... well, that's not her neck. Hold on. And you press the spell button and the trigger at the same time, it completely dismembers her. That is what we call the Telekinesis Crush, where you can customize whether it's all limbs or just the big parts, whether it's active or not, and how long it takes before they actually get busted like that. This next one is a very simple one, which I have called Lift. Basically, from any part of the enemy, you can lift them up. So it makes it great if you want to just grapple with an enemy, chuck them down. Oh, or, hold on, let's see if I can just throw her over my shoulders and just go, oh, something like that, and completely take them out. So those are my coolest and favorite mods of Blade and Sorcery 1.0 so far. If you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Helps out the channel a ton. Thanks for watching.